There's a hidden force inside your brain nudging you right now towards being just good enough, instead of absolutely unstoppable. But guess what? The people at the very top, the legendary sales pros closing 7-figure deals, the entrepreneurs scaling to 8 figures like Alex Hormozi, the visionary leaders like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk transforming entire industries, they weren't born special. They chose to challenge this average wiring, and so can you. So if you are tired right now of seeing your business plateau, watching less talented competitors outshine you, or feeling like you're always fighting to prove your worth, this message is for you. Because the truth is, those who settle for complacency today risk being absolutely obliterated tomorrow. But if you're ready to shatter those mental chains and finally tap into your real potential, if you're ready to wake up every single morning knowing you're playing at the highest level, then stay with me to the end. All right, so here's the thing I need you to know. This is the most important thing, and this is it right here. We're evolutionary wired to stick to safe and familiar. But with conscious awareness, not subconscious, but conscious awareness, which I'll show you, in the right framework, you can override that default and choose excellence. So check this out. For some reason, our brains default to just enough over being the absolute best. Or in other words, our built-in tendencies encourage us to conserve energy, avoid unnecessary risk, and stay with the familiar. So that can manifest as complacency rather than pushing ourselves to extremes of excellence. So let's briefly explore why this happens in our brain, and then I'm going to show you ways to break past, again, your evolutionary subconscious tendencies. I'm going to show you how to break free, again, like the best out there, like the Kobe Bryants, like the Nick Sabans, like the Michael Phelps of sales. I'm going to show you, and business, I'm going to show you how to do it. But first you need to know, why is it happening to you? And then I'm going to show you some tips and tricks and techniques on how the very best push past these evolutionary tendencies in order to have revolutionary change in their life. All right, number one, there's evolutionary pressure that favors just good enough. I didn't really know this until I heard a speech from Nick Saban where he says, look, everyone's kind of made to be average. We have to choose every day to be elite, to be exceptional, and this is a choice you have to make. So when I first heard Saban say this, I'm like, oh, that really makes a lot of sense. Let me go kind of go down the rabbit hole. And so I immediately started researching all this information as far as why that's the case. And here is what the truth says. See, we've got survival over optimization because early humans, our ancestors, your ancestors, prioritized survival above all else. Which totally makes sense, right? If they took too many risks, if they explored the unknown territories, if they started hunting dangerous animals, then they could get killed. We could have gotten killed. And so the cautious approach back then often won out. It led to genetic wiring, rooted wiring, like grooves in a record player that you just can't get kind of out, that nudges us to avoid high risk, high reward ventures. There's also this cost-benefit trade-off, right? In unpredictable environments, chasing excellence might mean huge wins, but also huge losses. And often that kind of good enough mentality was way safer and more energy efficient. So our brains evolved to favor the sure thing. We loved that certainty. In the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, safety and security is that kind of number one thing. And majority of people, they get safety and security and they just get stuck right there. They don't push past to that next level. So number two, the brain seeks efficiency. Our brain is an efficient machine. It needs efficiency. See, energy conservation is huge, right? The human brain is only 2% of our body weight, only 2%, which is nuts, right? But it can consume up to 20% of our energy. So because of this, our minds love automation and they love shortcuts. So sticking to routines like being in our comfort zone, staying in our comfort zone, it feels easier than, again, challenging ourselves daily. And we like to chase easy. See, homeostasis and habit is an interesting concept, right? We're all designed to maintain a sense of internal balance. So when we push outside of our comfort zone and we get ourselves in kind of that stress level, it triggers, again, that stress response. And our amygdala starts to hijack us, and it leads our brains to resist the change. We want to kind of fight or flee or freeze or fawn, that kind of situation, right? So once that habit forms, of again, always kind of playing it safe and chasing that easy and chasing that certainty, well, once that habit's there, once we're in that groove, we've got to make a conscious decision to break past it. And that requires significant cognitive resources. All right, number 3, social influences and cultural norms. I remember when I was a kid, my dad would always say, be careful who you surround yourself with. Of course, it's been said for a long time that we are the same today as we were 7 years ago or 7 years in the future, besides the books that we've read and the people we surround ourselves with. Social influence and cultural norms are huge. I remember when I was 32 years old, I had a mentor and I went to him and he said, hey, how are you doing? How's your wealth? And I said, I'm actually the richest of any of my friends at 32. And he said, you need to find some new friends. Now he didn't say be mean to them. And he said, you can still be friends with them, but you need to go find people that push you, that you feel you feel challenged by. And so I did. I went and joined a group called Entrepreneurs Organization. And right now I am the poorest one of my peer group. And they're constantly challenging me because I'm constantly going, what, if you can do it, I can too. So social influences and cultural norms are tough, right? So that peer pressure, again, peer pressure to keep us safe is there. By doing that, by living by this, right, we're avoiding those social risks. And as social creatures, which we are, belonging is critical. Historically, being expelled from the group was dangerous, right? Just think of your kind of 16-year-old boy and girl self, your teenager self. We like our cliques. The last thing we want to do is be expelled from those cliques. I remember when I was that age, it was very terrifying to kind of be on my own. And I remember several times where I was a rebellion and I pushed past and I became not popular because I did the thing that was not the popular decision to do, but it was the right thing for me to do for my success. See, conforming to average, those group norms can feel safer than, of course, standing out, especially if excellence draws scrutiny or jealousy, which it always does. You ever heard of this concept called the tall poppy effect? So it's an interesting kind of metaphor. Basically, in many cultures, when you surpass others too visibly, well, it provokes criticism or envy. So people immediately are saying, what? This person must be fake. They must be a con artist. They must be manipulative. They must be doing something wrong. They must be a crook. Or it's more envy. It's envy and jealousy, all those things, right? So that's that tall poppy effect. And so what happens is we fear being cut down if we reach too high, which further cements that complacency. Number 4, fear of failure and loss aversion. See, loss aversion is where we dislike losses more than we like equivalent gains. If the potential failure appears more painful than the possible reward, we stick to the known safer path, often average. Fear of judgment is another one, right? The dread of public failure or humiliation can be powerful, leading people to settle for the middle ground rather than risking a visible stumble. Number 5, hedonic adaptation, right? This is a crazy one. So think of the baseline reset. This is even when we achieve something great, we quickly return to this baseline level of satisfaction. If we don't set new, higher goals, we slip back into complacency. The great mentor of mine, Lou Tice, he taught me this concept called you need to goal through versus just goal this. So often people say, hey, here's my goal, and then they hit the goal, and then they stop, and they actually go backwards, which is exactly what I'm talking about. So instead, he would say, hey, create a goal this. So once I achieve this goal, then my new goal is this. Or if this, then that happens. That's the way that you push, of course, past this. So again, can we overcome this tendency? Yeah, I just gave you one idea of how we can do that. But again, awareness is the first step. I believe that awareness is the birthplace for change. When I go and see my doctor every quarter and he gives me a blood check and he shows me my blood, it's like the blood is like it's everything, right? It tells everything about your body. And so he optimizes, my health. Or if I go to the gym and I weigh in, obviously I see what's going on. Or I take a DEXA scan and I measure my fat and my bone density. Or if I do a VO2 max, all of these things are important because awareness. And awareness, again, is the first step. So here are a few strategies that help people go beyond that just enough, that barely adequate, that just enough kind of mentality. We got to stop that. So the first thing is we got to set clear incremental goals. We got to break ambitions into small steps because it can override the brain's risk aversion. One of my core beliefs is that I can do anything by breaking it down into small decisions. Just this past year, I was able to be in the 52% that was able to hike the distance of Mount Everest, 29,000 feet of elevation, 30 miles. And we had 36 hours or less to be able to do it. And I got this amazing red hat. That's all I got at the very top. Only 50% of people were able to make it to the top. The rest of everyone else's bodies basically collapsed. They didn't have the endurance. They didn't have the willpower. But I'm telling you, the number one thing that I did to make it to the top, and I did in 34 hours and 45 minutes, completely hiked through the night, is it was all about one step, one hike at a time, right? One step, 1 foot, 1 mile at a time. I kept telling myself, hey, just make it to the next aid station. Just make it to the top. I'm just gonna do one more ascent. And I did that over and over again for 13 different ascents, again, to hike the distance of Mount Everest in 36 hours or less. This concept works in all things. It works when it comes to selling. It works when it comes to prospecting. It works when it comes to running my business. It's all about breaking things down into little incremental steps. Daily sprints, weekly sprints, monthly sprints, quarterly sprints. In the military, they have a concept called aim small, miss small, right? If you aim for the target, you're probably not going to. If you aim for the bullseye, you're probably not going to hit it, right? But if you aim for the target, you're at least going to hit the target, hit somewhere on it. And so we got to kind of aim small, of course, miss small. So each micro victory builds momentum. Number 2, you got to use accountability, right? Accountability is everything. We got to share those goals with mentors, coaches, supportive peers, all these things are important. Again, I'm a part of a business group called Entrepreneurs Organization. There's also groups like Vistage or YPO. These are important things. Or you could join one of our FPG tribes, our warrior tribes, where we can work with you and again, hold you accountable. We all need to be held accountable. I work out with other people to be held accountable. I have accountability with Mary, with my wife, right? I have accountability with my coworkers. Accountability, of course, is everything, right? That accountability will counter those social fears. This is why in groups like AA, they've got peer groups. They've got mentors, they got support systems, again, to hold them accountable when they're kind of going down the left road and they need to be choosing to go down the right road. So it's all about turning group norms into a positive force rather than a limiting factor, right? So here's the thing you need to know. There's always peer pressure happening. So the question is that peer pressure happening for you or happening against you? Is it happening for you towards the goals that you want, or is it happening against you towards the goals that you don't want? So you can't avoid peer pressure, but you can leverage peer pressure to again, serve you and of course your goal. Number 3, embrace failure as learning. I'm a big fan of reframing everything. As a master practitioner in neurolinguistic programming, reframing is one of the most important things. There's a great quote by Wayne Dyer: when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. What he's basically saying is, if I can reframe things, then all of a sudden it changes everything. One of my most successful years was actually in March of 2020, when COVID happened, and I immediately went to my team and I said, hey, we're gonna write a book on how to sell through the coronavirus. It became a bestseller at that exact moment, and we helped so many businesses not lay off their employees because we reframed the situation and we turned the misstep into an opportunity. We turned people kind of stinking thinking into an advantage for us and for our clients. And so we just need to reframe. You can have endless miracles in your life if you just change the way you look at the things you look at change. Change the way you look at objections as feedback. Change the way you look at the angry buyer as a buyer who's just frustrated but really wants to have their problem solved. These are all things that you can reframe, and everything will change, of course, when you do that. I believe what Carol Dweck said, the Stanford professor that wrote the book on mindset, growth mindset's everything. And so we're not born with either one. We have to choose to have a growth mindset. We can choose to have a fixed mindset, but we can choose to have a growth mindset. And that growth mindset transforms risk into opportunity. Again, I believe a warrior always finds an advantage. And so it's always about what is the norm doing, and then do the opposite of that. How can we exploit that? How can we turn that into an advantage for us? Number 4, you got to practice mindfulness. I do that. I know I'm a fast talker, but you gotta do it. I do that too. I have to calm myself down, right? I have to be present. I have to be focused, practice mindfulness. I go to church every single Sunday, right? I'm focused on prayer. I'm focused on controlling my thoughts. I'm focused on presence. One of the techniques that I use all the time is stop having future thoughts. Stay present, stay patient, stay purposeful. I say it to myself all the time whenever myself starts having future thoughts, and it leads to that anxiety. So we got to practice that mindfulness. We got to practice that stress management. These are techniques like meditation and prayer. All of these things, yoga, all of these things can reduce resistance to change. It can help you push past, again, your comfort zone inertia. Some of you are hard chargers like me, and so, doing a Murph, doing a ruck with lots of weight, getting that heart rate up. These are all things that can actually also help you with stress management. So you don't have to think of mindfulness as just something slow. It can also be something fast-paced that, again, keeps you present. I like to go to a boxing workout on Saturdays, and so again, the entire time I'm boxing, I'm not thinking about anything else but boxing. So again, it clears the mechanism. Number 5, seek environments that encourage excellence. See, when you're surrounded by people aiming high, average stops feeling safe and it starts feeling amazing, right? It starts feeling like exactly what I want to do, right? So we want to push past this and want to surround ourselves with people that scare the shit out of us, right? Those are the people, because they're doing things that are like, man, I can't believe you're doing that. The number one reason why people don't want to hang out with people like that is it makes them feel less than. I like that feeling because I don't feel less than, I feel opportunistic. I see people that are doing more than me, that are younger age than me, and I'm like, man, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it too. I don't look at it as they've got something that I don't have. I look at it as they've got some internal resources of what they're thinking about, saying, and doing, and all I need to do is figure out their hacks, and I can have the same thing they can have too, right? So surround yourself with people that scare the shit out of you, and then go learn from them. Right now, you might start to realize that you too can override these average impulses when you have the right tools. See, I believe from an NLP perspective that we're all doing the best we can with the internal resources we have. Those internal resources are what we think about, what we say, and what we do, right? So we can always change that, so we can change what we think about, change what we do, and change what we're saying through videos like this, through YouTube, through what you're learning right now, through podcasts. Quick brain science recap that I want to share you with, I think is pretty cool. Right now, we've explored so many things, right? How evolutionary pressures, social norms, and neural shortcuts have shaped our preference for just being enough. But here's the exciting part. We're not stuck with that default. We can choose to be our best. And I'm going to show you right now exactly how you can do that. All right. It's not just a motivational slogan. This is not a motivational slogan. I know we think of it as, but the world's top achievers do exactly what I'm about to say, right? They flip the switch from I can't to I will. Or there's a great book called Reality Transurfing where he talks about the power of intention. And so, for example, he talks about in the book, he says, when you wake up in the morning, if you can normally walk, you just kind of walk. You don't think about like, I will walk, or I'm going to try my best to walk, like walk. And so one of the hacks that top producers live by is like, I intend to do this. Like I intend to walk. I'm just going to walk. I'm just going to make $1 million this year. Like that's just what I'm going to do. And I'm going to find the resources. I'm going to find the support systems. I'm going to find the habits that I need. It's not hard, right? Success is actually easy. It's the psychology that gets in the way. Selling is easy. It's psychology gets in the way. All this stuff is actually pretty easy, but again, it's the psychology that gets in the way. And so it's all about having proven frameworks that, again, shatter comfort zones, and that's we need to focus on constantly, right? So let me share with you about a person that I personally coached, my team coach. Her name was Sarah. Again, Sarah was a mid-level sales leader who believed that others were just luckier, right? That the reason why other people were successful and not her or not her sales team is because they just had the right kind of product, the right time, the right traffic, the right scenario, the right situations, the right price, all those other things. So, her pipeline was not doing well. Her performance wasn't doing well. Her team wasn't doing well. They were missing their quota, and her team was kind of getting not energized and eventually, was on the path to turning over, and she definitely lost some people. So then she discovered the impact framework that I'm about to share with you, the thing that I personally showed her, and she realized that being the best isn't something that you're born into, like Lady Gaga says. I don't know why she says that. We're all just born this way. That's not true, right? We're not born to be losers. We're not born to not be lucky or someone else is luckier. That's not true. Lady Gaga was incorrect when she said this. And so we have the ability to decide right now to fight against the norm. And so when I taught her this framework, 90 days into this, her team blew past their quota by 40%. She earned promotions later on that year. She immediately built a much bigger team. She started mentoring managers underneath her, again, through our sales leadership mastery program and our Warrior Son curriculum. And so here's the thing. If Sarah, who was about to get fired, true story, about to get fired, if she can override her average wiring, so can you, right? If she can stop that thinking and change her thinking by changing the resources inside of her head, so can you. So right now, I want you to realize that Sarah went from feeling overlooked and frustrated to confident and in demand. Sarah did this through the exact strategies that I'm about to share with you now. There's some definite dangers of complacency. See, staying average is risky, right? It limits your income, it limits your opportunities, and even, of course, it limits, as if you're a sales leader or an owner, it limits your team's respect for you. You do not want to wake up one day and realize you've been left behind in a rapidly changing marketplace. So according to a recent leadership survey, 70% of businesses that are stagnant eventually fail. Complacency today is a direct threat to your success tomorrow. So right now, just close your eyes and listen to this. You may begin to feel urgency inside of you, an inner voice telling you it's time to break free from lingering mediocrity. That's what happens, and I know that's what happens to me when I do these things. So right now, I want to share with you the impact framework, right? This is it. This is the framework right now that can break you free of just that just enough wiring. So I stands for individualized scripts. See, right now, the things that we're saying to ourselves, our self-talk, and the things we're saying to others when it comes to leadership or sales or influence is equal to the way that we're communicating and how effective we are at influencing others in order to get them to do what we need them to do so they can be successful and we can be successful, again, selling, entrepreneurs, whatever it is. But if those scripts aren't effective for you, we've got to tweak them. And so one of the things that we can do with you is work with you on creating individualized sales processes and scripts that combine our award-winning process. Right now, we just got ranked third sales training program in the world, #1 leadership training program in the world, and I just got ranked #1 sales guru in the world. #2 is Jordan Belfort, #3 is Grant Cardone, all people that I highly respect. And so I'm basically right now leading the charge with amazing people that I respect. And so my team will work with you to take your ideas, but shape it into a script so that it's not just kind of an idea, but it's something that you can really use, again, to create the best influence over others. Look, top closers, they customize their message. They're always kind of A/B testing what works best in their market. M stands for mental toughness training. You got to think of this as the gym for your mind. Studies prove resilience can be trained, and when failure stops terrifying you, your potential expands dramatically. So right now, when you think of like, I don't want to talk about price, or I don't want to come across too pushy, all these things are kind of fears that are inside of us, and you have the ability to break free from that. I wrote a book called The Mindset of a Sales Warrior, where it's 42 strategies on how to remove the story, self-image, reluctances, and rules that hold us back. We got to be constantly working, again, our mental toughness. Sales is the toughest of the performance arts. And so if it's the toughest, it's like a cage fight every single day, then again, you've got to work on that mental fortitude. P stands for persuasive language techniques. Again, I'm a master practitioner in neurolinguistic programming, and it's all about the psychology of influence and storytelling. It's about becoming the Don Draper of sales. People have a certain gift, but that gift can be trained, and I can show you exactly how to do it. There's different frames that great persuaders use. Presidential speechwriters will create this. Copywriters use certain words in order to influence other people to help people, again, accomplish great things in their life. And so these techniques, these persuasive patterns, these are hidden gears that can turn conversations into sales conversions. A is for accountability. You've got to have accountability through weekly coaching. Like, I think everyone needs an external push. I know myself that when I'm working out with someone else, I always work out better than when I'm by myself, right? I do a weekly Murph with my son, and whenever I'm with my son, of course, I'm pushing myself harder. I want to be a good example than I am by myself. I wish that wasn't true, but that definitely happens. And so we need accountability. So our weekly calls, which is what we'll do for you, we have weekly dojo sessions over Zoom where we work on groups and we role play and we talk through real life scenarios, we talk through the lesson. These serve as guardrails ensuring consistent real progress. C stands for comprehensive 12-step process. When I was 25 years old, I started studying a ton of sales processes and I realized they were all too chunked up. It was like 3 steps, like you need to understand, you need to present, you need to close, right? It was like kind of too broad, it was too big. And what happened is, as the head of training for the Fortune 500 company, I realized that salespeople didn't know the little details, and the details matter. The most successful people on the planet, based on research, they have a lot more details when it comes to what they say and what they do. Details are everything, right? Devil's in the details. It's all about the details. And so we have a 12-step sales process, not a 3-step or a 4-step or a 6-step, 12 steps. And inside of those steps are actually under like little other steps, because you've got to be able to do that in order to be excellent in sales and perfect sales. So again, this isn't just some kind of random thing. It's not some sort of high chunk process that leaves you left hanging. It's a structured roadmap with clear milestones, making your climb from average to elite seem predictable and repeatable. T stands for training and reinforcement through videos. You know, it's one thing to again talk about something, but it's good if you can take a learning concept and you can like watch a video on a weekly basis and then you go practice that concept, you experience it, and then again you kind of discuss the experiences. And so every week all of our training includes weekly videos, because you got to use brain-based learning methods so the lessons you're trying to learn stick. We got to chunk it down into bite-sized chunks. I can learn anything by breaking it down again into small little chunks. So this is the impact framework that again I used on Sarah and we use on our teams and all of our programs, Warrior Selling, as well as all of our little sprints that we do. We have lots of little like training sprints that we can help you with, you can hire us with, or of course our Sales Leadership Mastery Program for sales leaders. All of these are based upon, again, this impact framework, which puts us in a very small group of people that can actually change behavior and therefore change results for your organization. So here's some of the things that people say sometimes when it comes to trying to breaking free. Isn't top performance just for born winners? And again, the answer is no. People who appear naturally gifted, they made a decision to train relentlessly, guided by frameworks like impact. I have seen tens of thousands of people change their lives because of the impact framework, because they just decided to not be average. How about this one? I'm worried I'll fail. Again, I'm failing over and over again. Look, failure is a stepping stone. I failed 1,000 times in my life. I'm sure I'm going to fail 1,000 times more. But failure is not the dead end. And so with the right mental toughness training, you can use setbacks to fuel even bigger comebacks. Or how about this one? I'm overwhelmed already. Like, how do I have the time for something new like this? You know, here's my belief. This is about placing time-wasting activities with high impact action. And so one of the things that our process does, or any kind of process you commit to, is it helps you focus on what truly matters. So right now, if you close your eyes and you think about it, you might start realizing how these objections lose power once you have a proven roadmap and real accountability. Once you do one of my favorite philosophies in life, which is attack, attack, attack. Here's something my dad would always tell me. He would say, Jason, you succeed or you fail, it's all on you. You know, right now, that belief system has shaped my entire destiny. You know, every day is about making a decision to say, you know what, I succeed or I fail, it's all on me. That decision is what separates the unstoppable from the merely adequate. So right now, we need to picture yourself with unstoppable confidence, a bulletproof mindset, persuasive communication skills, and a supportive coaching system that keeps you on track. Look, you won't just dream of being the best. Starting right now, you can actually be the best. So think of the revenue growth, the promotion opportunities, and the personal satisfaction of knowing you're operating at your fullest potential, which is what it's all about. So at this point, you might be asking, well, how do I make all of this real right now? Well, let me share with you a coaching program. This is exactly why I created our exclusive hands-on coaching program. It's going to walk you through each step of the impact framework that I just shared with you. So in just 12 weeks in our starter program, or 12 months in our mastery program, you can go from fighting complacency to embracing a level of performance that you once thought only lucky people achieved. But we have limited seats. We do have classes that start throughout the year, but we want to keep those classes a reasonable size so that we can give you that personal attention that you need. So if you're serious, you definitely want to click on the links below in order to register, in order to go all in. You can also register for one of our information sessions to get more information, of course, about it. And got to check us out, right? So the thing is, we can't work with everyone, and once the program is full, we definitely pause the enrollment until future openings, of course, sign ups. So right now, you got to sign up for the information session. That's one of the first things you can do, or you can jump right in to the actual program itself. This is the moment right now where you got to decide between being average and stepping into excellence. I want you to feel the relief and the excitement that comes from knowing that you've chosen a higher standard, of course, for yourself. And right now, I'm gonna give you a bonus. I wanna give you this Breaking Complacency, this 5-day impact accelerator program that I've created. It's just a little kind of experience. You're gonna get a PDF, you're gonna get a short video series, daily exercises, less than 5 minutes a day with me to hardwire those success habits so you can start learning how this is going to work. So again, if you click the link below, you'll be able to register and be able to at least get that 5-day checklist to start heading in the right direction. I'm gonna show you some mental toughness drills. I'm gonna show you a quick start, a little process to start building some scripts and some accountability hacks. So when you just sign up below, get some information, you're gonna get the 5-day impact accelerator absolutely free. This is a huge thing. This will head you in the right direction. So this bonus is only available, again, when you click the link. So you got to click the link down below in the comments in order to make it happen for you. Remember, our brains naturally resist extraordinary effort. They favor just enough, but you don't have to be average. You can choose to be the very best using the science-backed strategies I've personally given you today. So you gotta make the decision, click the link below. Let's rewrite your story from complacent to unstoppable. All right, in the words of one of my mentors, Tony Robbins, it is in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. Decide to shape a destiny of excellence starting now. This is Jason Forrest. Push yourself to become a better version of you.